Now, Wings3d's got a lot of cool basic shapes that you can just use real quick. It's just nice to be able to go grab some geometry if you want to make something that looks mechanical or whatever. But let's say I want to use this spring, and but I don't like the scale that the spring, the metal itself is on. I'll show you a little selection mode thing. We're going to go into polygon mode and select the two ends, and then from there I'll go to edge mode. Now notice I've got the whole loop selected, and then I'm going to hit G. I'm going to get the whole edge ring of those loops, and we're going to scale that uniform. And now I can actually scale the size of the spring down. That's pretty cool. Let's see if I'm in vertex mode, it scales the whole thing. And if I'm in polygon mode, it scales the whole thing. However, uniform scale radial Y. Let's make more of a Y. That's when you get that in the middle there. I will want to show you this. If we're in object mode and we select both pieces and we scale uniform, see how they kind of pull apart from each other because they got their own centers. However, if I use it in vertex mode, now they'll scale up and down together. No matter where we go with them, they'll scale up and down together. So it's just something to pay attention to, because if you can't do it in one mode, you can probably do it in another mode, and it's just a matter of thinking your way through it. Cube, and let's smooth that a couple of times. Okay, so we've learned about right click, and we have extrude normal. Because we went normal, it's actually going straight out from each direction of each one of those spaces. If I wanted to go just straight on the Z axis there, which is the way it's spacing, then I would extrude Z. I can also right click on extrude, and each one comes out separately. Also, when you're going through here with these actions, if there is a little box next to it, that means there's more options there. For instance, with this cylinder, instead of having 16 sections, I can make it 20. And that might be something I want. I don't like it, I can just hit delete. The scale radial function is pretty cool. Scale radial, since the Z-axis is right here, we'll scale radial Z. That can be helpful, especially when building things like wheels and whatnot. That can be very helpful. Maybe I want to extrude Z now from there. Now, if you pull out a big, long piece of geometry like this, maybe you want to divide that down a little better, just because what I can do is I can select this one edge. I'm going to hit G to get the edge ring, not the edge loop, but the edge ring. And then I'm going to hit a number, and it'll divide it there. Then I'll hit the keyboard shortcut C, and there, that's built my geometry in for me automatically. And it's split up a lot better, and it'll work out better in display and whatnot. If I decide I don't like that and I want to use an undo, this is the only program I know that has a change in the undo, and that is the first undo is Control Z. After that, you have to use Control Alt Z. You can go in here to your interface, and I think it's in undo levels, and change the amount of undo levels. The more undo levels, though, the more memory your file is going to take. It also does an autosave, and so it's a very smart idea when you start to work in Wings3d to go in here and save out a file. Even if you just start out with a cube, give it a name and save it out. Then it'll sit there and autosave, and if something happens and it crashes, you can pick up where you left off. It'll ask you, hey, do you want to start with the autosave file? Just say yes, and then you can start from your last, at least your last entry when it's saved. This should be on the default material. I can go in here and I can also start assigning vertex colors. And after I've UV mapped, I can actually use that map editor to create a texture. And I'll just give it a size and tell it to draw the background, edges, and faces. Now it's going to draw the texture map out for me. Now, let me show you this. Notice it put the white in as the vertex colors because that's all it had, and then I changed the color on the one, so it drew it out, and it's got a transparency because I can also set an alpha. Wings3d likes square textures, your 512, your 1024, 2048, but you can also use 400 and 300 or whatever, but it wants them square. You can try importing a rectangle image, but see what happens. It'll square it up. Now with the image plane is different. You can import an image plane. And if your image is a different size, it'll and that can be helpful if you're trying to build a car off of blueprints or something like that. These can be helpful. And that's about all I got for you. Left click to select, right click for the menus. There's a lot of other cool functions and plenty of other YouTube videos you can watch on Wings3d. This is just for basics, and I think I pretty much covered everything I was going to. Enjoy.